Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 2 Rising Malevolence. This is full breakdown and retrospective of this episode.
We're just clones, sir. We're meant to be expendable.
Not to me.
Fortune cookie of the episode is: belief is not a matter of choice, but conviction. This is really great quote, as choice and convictions are both different things. And conviction and how someone can think positively even in the darkest moments is the theme of this episode. This episode takes place chronologically right after the previous episode. The narration that sets up the plot uses new footage of Jedi sending Plo Koon to certain mission to hunt down special Separatist weapon. We'll talk about that later. Plo Koon is main Jedi of the episode, and episode was heavily influenced by Dave Filoni, as Plo Koon was his favorite character and he wanted to explore him more. In prequels we saw him only in the background, and this episode starts fun trend of developing side characters from the prequels. Plo Koon is Keldor, species that requires to wear a mask outside of their planet for breeding. He is voiced by James Arnold Taylor. He also voiced Obi-Wan Kenobi in the show. And did you know that Dave Filoni even cosplayed Plo Koon once? Plo Koon arrives in Abrogado system. In the background we see this cool star called Anza. The red ominous light really makes the Separatist weapon look even more sinister. Wolffe is present with Plo Koon on cruiser. He is an officer at this point and still has his eye. I need to mention that Plo Koon's clones are part of 104th Battalion, the wolfpack, and they have unique markings on their armor, another Filoni influence since he loves wolves. That's already clear at this point for our Star Wars fans. Grievous is introduced on the Malevolence. He is voiced by the same actor who voices battle droids, Matthew Wood, who also voiced him in Revenge of the Sith. Plo Koon wears these bracelets that look like clone trooper armor. Some Jedi during the Clone Wars wore the same armor, and older tradition among the Jedi, and we'll see more of that later. Seeing Plo only wear this part is interesting. Oto Ya is Keldor phrase, and that shows us how much close Plo Koon and Ahsoka are compared to other Jedi, since Plo was the one who found her. Ahsoka and Anakin are here of course, and this is their first episode in the Clone Wars after the movie. Even Mace Windu, Palpatine, Obi-Wan and Yoda appear. We finally see what the Malevolence does when it fires. They really emphasized how similar it is to Death Star. The shots are reminiscent of episode 4, and Dooku even says Tarkin's line, "You may fire when ready." It is even more interesting when we think of it, because the actors of Count Dooku and Tarkin were friends in real life. So what is Malevolence? It is Separatist cruiser equipped with this large ion cannon that can fire an energy blast, disabling entire fleets. Really powerful weapon. And the Malevolence's design was inspired by concept art from Revenge of the Sith based on this communication ship. After Malevolence attacks Plo's fleet, they need to evacuate, continuing the trend of the escape pods. During the evacuation, we hear iconic Star Wars alarm. On the escape pods there is even this small Republic logo visible. Plo Koon also ends up in an escape pod with Wolffe and two new clones. Their names are Boost and Sinker. Boost starts another trend of terrible clone haircuts. He has this double stripe haircut and it would look even more ridiculous in live action. Imagine Tamara Morrison with this double mohawk. I don't know how, but supposedly this haircut represents clones honoring their fallen brothers. When Boost and Sinker are fixing the power on the pod, their dialogue is lifted right from The Empire Strikes Back, the banter between Han and Chewie. The Separatist sends B-1 hunters to find escape pods and destroy them. These hunters are equipped with rockets, headlights and even blowtorches. And these hunters are using Drog-class boarding ship. Skywalker and his fleet are currently in the Biff system. It is home to planet Biff and Biff species, the species we all know well. Yularen also appears. He is voiced by Tom Kane, who had a bigger role in previous episode as Yoda. Plo Koon speaks really wisely. Everything he says sounds like a quote, and he also is really reminiscent of Gandalf. I think that could be another Filoni's influence, but that's not confirmed. Anakin and Ahsoka go to find Plo Koon in the Twilight. They use this ship to escape death in the Clone Wars movie, and they are still using it here. R2-D2 is also present in this episode on the ship. And last but not least, we briefly see Rex and Cody.
I value your life more than finding that weapon.
Orabesh on Twilight's monitor translates to contact. Number of the pod where our main characters are is 1977. It is the year when the first Star Wars movie was released. When droid hunters are getting closer to pod, one of the droids even hums Imperial March. Plo Koon and clones get out of the pod, leading to action in space. We know that clone armor can keep them alive in space for a short time, and in the case of Plo Koon, he is different species and his breeding mass could explain this. George Lucas wasn't biggest fan of having action scene like this in space, but Dave Filoni argued that since Grievous was in space in Revenge of the Sith, this could work too. And yeah, there is still this issue of sound in space and all of that, but who cares at this point? We are already past that point and Star Wars has never been this serious science-based franchise. But the only question I have is, how did Wolffe survive when they opened the door out of the pod? Like, Wolffe didn't have any armor or mask or something. In concept art there was even idea for Plo Koon v Grievous fight in space. It was scrapped, but it is interesting to imagine how it would turn out. Honestly, I think Plo Koon would have had the upper hand. We also got our first glimpse of Coruscant, and I need to say that it looks empty at some parts. Palpatine talks to Anakin and tries to convince him to return. Their interactions are really interesting to watch at this point. Ahsoka senses Plo Koon through the Force and that's how they find him, is another parallel to episode 5 to Luke and Leia. And Force Team also plays during this moment. R2 iconic scream isn't missing either, and Plo Koon has Yoda moment of the episode with the clones. To him, they are not expendable. There's a medical droid on the Twilight, another inspiration from Empire Strikes Back. Fleet debris is used in the chase scene, similar to asteroid field sequence from the Empire Strikes Back. Dooku is standing on the bridge of Malevolence and with this red light, it almost looks like he has Sith eyes for a moment. When we return to Skywalker's fleet, we see that besides Venators in charge, there are also Acclamators, which are better for troop and vehicle transport. That's it for the details. Now let's discuss the episode and let's rank it on the tier list. This continues the fun of the Clone Wars. It uses something that worked before in previous episode, like having smaller isolated story with few clones and a Jedi. They try to do it differently this time by stranding them in space, which is an interesting idea on paper, but execution wasn't best in my opinion. Action and overall pacing weren't as exciting as in the previous episode, and the animation had more flaws here. On rewatch, I really start to notice downsides of this early animation. I knew it wasn't the great at start, but if you look closely at some corners of the ships during battles, it just looks weird and really cheap. Also for my taste, there are just too many Empire Strikes Back references and for no reason at all. It really pulled me out of the story for a second and it's not a huge mistake or issue, but still it is worth mentioning. Highlight of the episode is definitely Plo Koon. How they portrayed this character was great. They really introduced us to another great Jedi. He is wise, but not the same way as is Yoda. He is really Gandalf-like presence with a unique voice and calm attitude, and they flesh him out as a really great side character. However, the clones could have been handled better. Every one of them were pessimistic, and I think there could have been some changes, like later on Clone Wars and other shows would show us bigger distinctions in their personalities, and I think they could even started with that, and that wasn't really the case in this episode. Overall, I have mixed feelings. It was fun idea with cool characters, but it could have been better in some areas. Still, it's enjoyable episode and I'm putting this on A tier. Plo Koon really carried it. It's more of a lower A tier, so yeah, I was really conflicted about this choice. So maybe I will change my mind later. That's it, let me know your thoughts about the episode and if I missed anything in the video. This video takes a lot of my time, so to support me you can like, comment, subscribe or share. I'll see you next time.